Well, now I have the pleasure of introducing a very special guest. He was here in 2014 to receive the King Vidor Award from his friend James Cromwell. And he wanted to be here this year, by the way, and couldn't be. But anyway, you might recognize this guy from a few movies. I don't know, maybe you might have recently seen him at the Oscars, or possibly on this very stage playing his guitar in the band The Abiders. He's pretty familiar with San Luis Obispo. He's another Central Coaster, and he's here to honor his friend Josh Brolin. Please give a warm welcome to Mr. Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, man. Get to give my buddy Josh a prize, a well-deserved prize. The King Vidor Award for Excellence in Filmmaking. So well-deserved, Josh. Without further ado, let's check out some of Josh's storytelling, some of the characters he's given us.
She's out at the market buying Pampers for all us kids. God,
Hey, Brian, hop off in the drip stack.
It's not that hard. Get up, Chuck. Get up. Get up. I got you.
Kids are crazy in there. Back home in Indiana, you don't see that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Just frat parties and homecoming dances.
Just thrashers. All right.
Thrashers, that sounds like vandals or juvenile delinquents. Troubled youth.
No, thrashing. It's just an aggressive style of skating.
Need you to drive me on out of here. You sure you've done the right thing? I mean, she's a beautiful girl and all.
Hey, listen.
You see that right there? Special Investigations Unit. Special. Get it? 10 grand. First of each month. Deliver it right here.
You done?
Oh, yeah, I'm done. Don't forget your card. Have a nice fucking honeymoon. Let's go. What are you doing?
I used to sit in this chair opposite Baker.
Huh?
Got him to help pull your ass out of the fire in Florida in 2000. Don't forget that. Come on, let's go. A little mano a mano. Bet you I can still whip your ass. What? Gotta admit I scared you back then. Still scare you, don't I?
I got a lot on my mind. I don't need this, Poppy. Not now. Why are you being so ornery?
Because you disappoint me, Junior. Deeply disappoint me.
After all these years, still? You're still with that?
No. Not the girls or summer jobs anymore.
I dug myself out of the depths of hell to stand on my own 2 feet. Make something of myself, and I did it on my own.
Think you did? Yeah, well, you also wrecked it.
Wrecked what?
You've ruined it for us.
What are you talking about?
The Bush name.
Get out of my office.
200 years of work for Jeb
Get out.
with this fiasco.
Get out of my life!
That's what it is. Goddamn fiasco.
Get out!
George! You're right.
Is your birthday party over?
Well, it's just winding down. Hi.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Birthday Party.
No, it's no problem. It's good to see you, Dan.
Sorry. Hey, I got you a little something. You didn't have to. I knew you were going to say that. Why do people always say that? You didn't have to. I mean, of course, right? But that's what they always say. They always say things like that. Always.
Are you okay, Dan?
Yeah. You okay, Harvey? Are we okay?
Okay.
Because I have learned a lot from watching you.
I doubt that.
No, I have, because I realize you just got to get out there. You got to be noticed, because that's how it all works. But you have an issue. See, that's your advantage. It's an advantage.
Dan, it's more than an issue.
Why?
Dan, I have had 4 relationships in my life, and 3 of them tried to commit suicide, and that's my fault, because I kept them hidden and quiet, because I was closeted and weak. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You do. This is not just jobs or issues. This is our lives we're fighting for. You okay?
All right. But,
Okay, Dan,
I've
go
learned
back
a
in-
lot from
I'm
you,
gonna
but
get
I've
back
learned
in
a
the
lot
party
from
now.
you.
Okay, thank
I'm
you.
going to get my picture in the paper,
Okay.
too. Why are you even
Thanks
here? Where did you
for
just show up from somewhere? Well, I got my own issues.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
I've got my own issues. Thank you. Whatever. I didn't even know where you were. You just showed up out of nowhere. David White's got an issue!
Yes, needs. It's a fraud.
It's a tiny website. Who cares?
Viral press. Bloomberg has a summary out on it. Reuters is playing the story big. It's become legitimate.
You pigged out, kid. You were making a fortune here. What the hell is wrong with you?
So I double-dipped. Who hasn't? In your time, you must have done some things. You're retiring, Julie. I can still run this place and make you more money than you ever dreamed.
We both know that's not going to happen, kid.
Julie.
no such thing. Tom, any harm comes to that child, you do not get paid.
Here. We're right up with you. Girl, I will pay you $50 out of my winnings. I am not happy.
Do the can again, Harold.
Everything is against me.
If you let me go, I will swear to an affidavit, and once you are brought to justice, it may go easier on you.
I tell you, I can do better than you. I need no affidavit. All I need is your silence. Your father was a busybody like you. In honesty, I do not regret shooting him. He thought Tom Sadie was small. You would give me an affidavit. You're all against me, everything. Down to speed and luck.
I never dreamed. You're everything I've ever wanted. Pain has set you free. You're not good anymore, Dwight. You're more like me. Be like me. Let the old Dwight go. Let it go of his old face.
She pulls close, and I've got to look. And all I want is to be lost in the sight and sound and smell of her. I can't think straight.
We can be free. We can be happy. Together. Forever.
No. Her kiss is a promise of paradise.
Dwight.
The gun barks and bucks in my hand. Life leaves Ava with a sigh. are you gonna stay? All right. You listen. You went up the wrong tunnel. You saw things you shouldn't have seen.
I'm sure as shit not the person you're gonna hide it all behind.
Please, just take a breath.
You're gonna fucking talk.
No, you're not.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell everyone what you did.
That would be a major mistake.
Pictures to serve the system. That is its function. I mean, we may tell ourselves that we're creating something of artistic value. What it really is this fat cat, Nick Skank, out in New York, running this factory, serving up these lollipops to the, what they used to call a bread and circuses for the,
Wait. Hey, you listen to me, Buster. Nick Skank in the studio have been good to you and to everyone else who works here. If I ever hear you bad-mouthing Mr. Skank again, it'll be the last thing you say before I have you tossed in jail for colluding in your own abduction.
Eddie, I would never do that.
Shut up. You're gonna go out there and you're gonna finish Hail Caesar. You're gonna give that speech at the feet of the penitent thief and you're gonna believe every word you say. You're gonna do it because you're an actor and that's what you do. Just like the director does what he does and the writer and the script girl and the guy who claps the slave. You're gonna do it because the picture has worth. And you have worth if you serve the picture, and you're never gonna forget that again. Won't forget it. Damn right you won't. Not as long as I run this dump. Dad. Go out there and be a star. A nice fucking trip back to Jersey.
Think you can do any better, Mr. Pussy? Yes, sir.
Bad jail. You're a good man.
Wow, I made some good movies, man. And what wonderful acting. Jeez. I got to do 2 movies with Josh. One with our beloved Coen brothers. That was the first time we worked together on True Grit. We didn't get a chance, wonderful movie, the brothers. You can't go wrong with those guys. He got to work with them more often than I have. Jealous. We didn't have any scenes together, but I got to hang with Josh a little bit, got to, get to know him a bit. And then not too recently, not too long ago, we did another movie called Granite Mountain. It's not out yet. It's based on a true story. I'm not going to go into really what it's about. If you're like me, you like to know as little as possible about movies that you want to see, right? Don't you think? I'll give you a hint. It's got something to do with fire, okay? And Josh, he plays the leader of a hotshot crew, and I play his fire chief, Dwayne Steinbrink. And we had some scenes together, so I got a chance to see how he approaches his work, and it was really something to behold. I'm trying to think where to begin. Well, I'll start. He seems look at the scope of the characters he's played, all of the variety. I mean, it's quite amazing. You think this guy can do anything? Well, it turns out that's not how it begins. Turns out he's really a very frightened, anxious guy who is just scared shitless, really, of what he is signed on to do, and he summons this courage, and does this bit of Thesbo judo and takes that fear and comes up with this stuff, man. Isn't that wild? There's so many actors, or a lot, not so many, but often actors, they want you to call them by their character's name, and they remain in character while they're working on the film. It's not my method, but you get some good results that way. Josh kind of goes along with the way I like to do it, where you get to know the people. You call them by their real names, and that intimacy, gets put up there on the screen and helps us serve the film. And Josh certainly does that. He really likes to, get to know all the actors. And although I'm thinking of something now, I heard that Josh actually kind of tortured a lot of the young actors on Granite Mountain. He made them call him by his character's name, made them treat him as his character, put them through terrible hours of torture training for their work, but again, it all goes up onto the screen. Josh did it with a certain playful, spirit. He has a great balance for this playful. He's got a lot of joy in his approach to the work, and that's balanced with a certain seriousness and again that anxiety that he flips around. He pays so much attention to detail, like in Sicario, he's playing a CIA agent. And what kind of shoes would a CIA agent wear? Josh says, let's go with flip-flops. That'll broaden the character. Those little details, He really cares to make it real. It's the kind of acting that I aspire to, and the kind I like to watch is when it feels like you're just like a fly on the wall watching some real life, and that's what Josh is going after and retains as we see it in this work tonight. What else can I say about Josh? God, about just as a real person. I saw him in another movie a couple of nights ago, about a week ago. I saw him in a movie, not a movie that's played in theaters. It was a movie to raise money for an organization called Artists for Peace and Justice, and they're all concerned about helping the folks out in Haiti going through the terrible earthquake and making their lives more bearable. And there's Josh out there, man, hauling stuff around, and he's been a great support, and he got me on board. Now I saw what he's doing. I said, oh, I can do that. You know, so he's got this heart, this real, this humanity, this sense of we're all in this together, and that goes into his work as well. Josh, you know, I really feel connected with this guy. We've done 2 movies, but there's a real a friendship and a camaraderie I feel with him. We have a lot in common, and we both come from showbiz families. Our dads were actors, you know, and we both love to play music. He's playing George Jones coming up. I'm looking forward to seeing that. We both love SLO, I'll tell you that. He's a hometown boy. Yeah. So let's bring the hometown boy up here. Josh, come up and get this award, man. You fine actor, you.
Two things. Templeton Eagles and Goonies Never Say Die. I'm going to hope that rests there. My leg fell asleep, so during this little speech that I'm going to give, I think I'm going to be in a lot of pain in about 45 seconds. So bear with me. Jeff Bridges, man. Jeff Bridges. In the tone of Jeff Bridges, he just got up here and said whatever he felt like. What should I say? I don't know, just the next thing that comes to mind. That's the way it should be, man. That's like San Luis Obispo shit, you know? We don't write no speeches for anyone. We just say the next thing that comes in our head. I'm so incredibly honored to be given this by Jeff, to be presented by Jeff. He's somebody forever I've looked up to. You know, there is whatever anxiety that he was talking about, the anxiety is with him and with him only. Because when you have watched somebody your whole life, I don't care what level of actor you are, even, and that doesn't mean anything, whatever level of actor you think you are, when you meet people you've grown to attach yourself to as a fan of film and as a fan of character and a fan of behavior and a fan of just what makes people tick, when you meet them in real life, it's very hard to remove yourself from that experience, that lifelong experience. So when I see Jeff, and no matter how close I get to Jeff, and no matter what kind of brother he is, which he is one, he's still Jeff fucking Bridges, you know what I mean? And the fact that he came up here, by the way, on the train. True Bridges humility. And a congregation I love to be a part of, that kind of humility, and take the time to give me this. I'm so thankful, man. I can't see you, but I love you very much. Next, and I won't make this too long, but next, Wendy Edson is unbelievable. You know, I'm on the board, and I picked myself for this. No, I'm just kidding. But, you know, she and I have been going back and forth for the last 10 years, and since No Country came out, I think that was the first time I came here. And she's just one of these people that, like, she has a fire inside her, and that's why this theater is full. That's why there's 1,000 people that give their films to this festival and hope that it gets picked to watch. And I just think that there's very few people like her left in the world. And it's nice just to be impassioned by storytelling and not by fame, but by art. And thank you very much for doing what you've done. And I love your curly hair. My wife has curly hair, but she straightens it. So, and then last but not least, the filmmakers. You know, it's really, you can't get beyond the fact that when you sit in a chair and you're coming up here to get an award or whatever it is, actually I came down because my ranch is up north, that you can't not feel what it is when people have gone all over the world and they'll do anything in order to get a few dollars, and they'll utilize that few dollars. It goes so long that we only have $1,000 to make this film, or $10,000 to make this film. And as much money as we spend on films, you realize how unnecessary it is sometimes when these people will do anything, and people are willing to do favors and whatever in order to get, again, a bit of our own behavior on film so we can watch it in the safety of a chair once removed and be able to experience and identify and learn through the art of filmmaking, which I think is extremely important. And so to all you filmmakers who quote unquote won or didn't win, kudos to you. Thank you very much for this. You know, I'm a local kid, you know. There was a guy in Venice Beach the other day, and I was riding my bicycle, and he came next to me, and he goes, "Man, I saw your Instagram. You ain't country. Hashtag this country life." I said, "Actually, bro, I am." And he goes, "Man, you know what? I grew up in a town of 7,000. I said, "I grew up in a town of 2,000. Because my home was 5 miles from town. I said, "Mine was 7. He goes, "All right, man, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you." And then he left, thank God. So I'm a kid. Famous when I was growing up was Templeton Feed and Grain. And, you know, the big thing was the stunt. There was a movie set that came in, and there was a guy who jumped off the top of the Film and Grain. I don't know if anybody knows that, but that was a big thing for us. And even though my dad, who's here, is in the industry, yeah. What's up, Pop? Who also came on the train. No, I'm just kidding. But he did drive. You know, again, that thing, that elusive thing of, this guy jumped off and they put it on film and all that. So I feel like I grew up, you know, less in the industry because I was up here, and than being down there and being, you know, saturated by this mentality of, you know, separateness. You know, I love community, and I love the community here. And I sold my place in 2004 because I wasn't working very much, and I just couldn't afford it. I was going down to LA a lot, and I just didn't have any, you know, you can tell by this thing, it went from the Goonies to Thrashin', and then it jumped to No Country. Well, in the middle of that blank space, I sold my ranch. I was a landscaper for a year. I traded stocks for 3 years. So I was looking for the money, man. But, you know, I did 20 years of work, and I was what I call a blue-collar actor. And then you do one movie, No Country for Old Men, and people see it, and they appreciate it, and they ask, "What happened?" I said, "Nothing. I just did a movie that people saw," you know. They're like, "Oh, cool. Well, we're happy for you," you know. But being from here is forever humbling, and I bought the same ranch back in 2010. And it means the world to me to be here. You know, this not just to keep me grounded, but this is my home. These are my roots. This is where I love the most. And no matter where I go in the world and play these little, you know, games, I always come back here, and this is what matters most to me. So thank you guys so much for this. Thank you.
I'd like to invite up to the stage Ben Mankiewicz from TCM. He is our festival friend. He's been here several times, and he's back to talk to Josh. So come on up, Ben. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Josh Brolin. So, I mean, this is a big, like, you're around these people more, but like I was sitting 2 seats over from Jeff Bridges, right? Yeah. And I can't, here's the thing, it's like he gives off a heat, right?
Yeah. A fire.
And you know, Moonlight was unbelievable and touched me in so many ways.
He wasn't in Moonlight.
No, he was. He played, I think, the youngest kid. That's how good he is. No, and maybe he was the middle kid. And La La Land was amazing, but damn if Hell or High Water wasn't the best movie of the year. I mean, that's the movie you come out, you tell people, I saw a movie last night and you have got to go see this movie. So it's funny because when I wrote down these questions to ask you, and I don't like starting at the beginning, so I was going to ask, and you answered it a little bit there, like, so what happened, and I don't mean it as a joke, what happened in 2007? Did they figure you out, or do you think you got better?
I was better than Thrashin', for sure.
By the way, you know, last weekend, Thrashin' was on Turner Classic Movies.
Turner Classic Movies?
We aired it.
That's great.
It was on at 4:30 in the morning, but it was on.
Every time I watch the Oscars, I'm waiting for them to say Thrashin'. We actually, Robert Russler's right there, who was in Thrashin' with me. And we actually went, yeah, there he is. There you go, brother. And we went to to Morro Bay to a screening of Thrashin', which we were so happy about. And he came up. I asked him at the last moment, because we've been friends ever since, actually before Thrashin', but ever since, so 32 years now. And I asked him to come up. And then I was watching the movie, because I haven't seen the movie, and I was watching the movie with my kids, who are older than I was when I was doing it. And then he wasn't at the theater yet, and I texted him, and I said, bro, not a big crowd, sorry.
Do I have this story right, that I read in an interview that you know, you'd done Goonies and you were like on the come, right? This was happening, and then you went and you did Thrashin', and then you went and saw it, and what was your reaction?
I cried. I did. I watch it now, and it's become like this cult classic, and I've learned not to say anything, whether you like your movie or not. You know, it's kind of like, you know, Jeff playing the dude. You know, when it came out, people liked it, and I think it made its money back, but that's it. And now it's become the all-time cult hit of, you know, I mean, it's like bigger than Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's everybody wants to be the dude now. And now that pot is legal, everybody is. But yeah, I realized that I didn't want to hurt people with my acting after I saw Thrashin', and thought that something needed to be done. So I went to New York.
So that's interesting. But first, before you went to New York, you turned some stuff down. You basically, what I mean is you drove your agents a little crazy.
I drove my agents a little crazy because I left. I didn't turn anything down because I wasn't offered anything. But I realized, a good friend of mine, Anthony Zerbe, kind of went through the same thing, and he studied with Stella Adler, and he finally got into that class, and then he realized when he was in the class that he didn't have enough life experience for the class. So what I did after Thrashing, I did a 2-part episode of Highway to Heaven. I made enough money to get a Eurail pass, and I went to Europe for a few months and just kind of lived off, the land, so to speak.
It's Highway to Heaven money in France. So when you say you went to New York, I think people think you went to Manhattan. You didn't go. You went to a different part of New York.
No, that time I went to Manhattan. Then I realized there were as many bad actors in New York as there were in Los Angeles. And then I came back and I got a series called The Young Riders, which was very fortunate to get that series.
Wild Bill Hickok you played.
Wild Bill Hickok, and I ended up meeting a gentleman by the name of Anthony Zerbe, who had a slot in a festival in Jiva Theater in upstate New York, and that's where that started.
You spent a lot of time in Rochester.
5 years. Just doing plays.
What happened to you in Rochester? Doing plays, writing plays too?
I was directing plays and I was acting in plays. I was writing on the side. I was doing a lot of writing on the side. But Anthony was instrumental in just seeing something that I didn't see, which was, what if you play a guy with traumatic brain injury? What if you play a guy who's just in from, is in the seminar in Ireland? What if you play a guy who's a pickpocket in Chicago? So he's just started giving me characters, like real characters. I don't know why, it just happened.
And that worked for you?
I just liked it. I understood all of a sudden. It was like the whole reason why I got into acting. My dad was into acting, and I saw kind of how financially insecure it was. So I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to do something where I knew I was, not going to go through that fluctuation. And then I took an improvisational class in high school, and she said, "Josh, you get up," just assuming that I could act. And then she said, create a character, and then we're going to ask you questions, and then you respond in the character, as the character. And I remember it was like a overweight, New York, thinning haired, whatever I created. And I loved it. I mean, it was like, this is the greatest thing. This is the greatest feeling I've ever felt that doesn't have to do with drugs. And so I went with that one. Less consequence.
So it's not hard to find this quote, though. If I'm any kind of an actor now, it's because of Rochester.
For sure.
Really?
For sure, yeah. Because everything that bad that could have happened. I came out opening night of the first play I've ever done with 700 people in the audience, and I had a 7-page monologue, and I went up on page 2. And it sets up the entire play. And it was like this, after everybody gotten their awards and all that kind of stuff, and I was sitting there with probably the worst Irish accent. I was like, "So Mary, she came to the typhoid Mary, and it's a Lucky Charms, magically delicious." And it was just horrible, I'm sure. But then I looked out, and I just went blank. And now, once you start to trust yourself as an actor a little bit, it's usually a boomerang if you go up, and if you just kind of like wing it, something comes back, and you go, "Oh yeah, there it is." But this was like an arrow to China. I mean, it was just like, it just kept going and going, and I was like, well, Mary, she had dysentery, which she didn't, So everything that was wrong happened, and I grew some, some cojones, I guess.
So you, first of all, before you come back to L.A. post Rochester, and that Rochester stuff impresses me enormously. So you nearly, though, landed, I just love this story, and I think they'll like it. You nearly landed 21 Jump Street.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, you know that. You did your research. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's like doing the actor studio.
Yeah.
I did. It was between, they had hired somebody, I don't know who it was, and they fired him the first week. And then 3 guys came in. I don't know who the other guy was. And then the other guy was Johnny Depp, who was girlfriends with a girl I had done Thrashing with. So I knew Johnny through her. And we both auditioned for this part. And I think the networks were very high on me. And Patrick Hasberg, I think was his name, the producer, liked this guy, Johnny Depp. I didn't understand why, but they liked him. And yeah, and we were waiting in Johnny's office. Johnny had done a bit part in Platoon with a guy named Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
And he was kind of showing me books of what he had done and all that, and the movie hadn't come out yet. And we were waiting in his apartment, his tiny little apartment in Hollywood, waiting to see who was going to go. I mean, we had to like literally go at that moment, whoever got the phone call. And he got the phone call, and he took his military bag that he had from Platoon,
right,
stuffed it with clothes, and then left. And then, you know.
Have you talked to him since?
No, because I want, you know, like, of course I've talked to him. I'm like, it's because you did that show and because I fucked up that audition that you did Pirates. I just want you to know that. That's why you have $500 million. By the way, I'm selling my ranch if you want to buy it.
So you talked about the black hole from Thrashing to No Country for Old Men, but it's not quite fair because you had a small part, but it's memorable to people who love movies in Flirting with Disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I don't know.
Like 4 people.
Yeah, but there's a great. First of all, but it's David O. Russell, right?
Yeah. David O. Russell.
So, and you do, there's a scene in the movie, I think the most famous scene in the movie, where, who's the actress whose armpit you're licking? Why is it my blanket?
Patricia Arquette.
Right, you're licking Patricia Arquette's armpit, and
everybody's like, I got to see this movie.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah. Everybody's plans for the weekend are now changing. Yeah. Your idea, sort of, or you and Patricia together?
No, it was a kiss. It turned out to be, I played a bisexual ATF agent with tattoos and an armpit fetish.
Right, sure. No, it's typecasting. Yeah.
I learned that in Rochester, New York.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it was a kiss, and then we did, and then he thought it was boring, so he and I went back and we started rewriting. And then I came up with a foot fetish. It's like a common thing, I guess, now. Back then it was cutting edge, but now it's a different. and then we tried it. It didn't work. Okay, I'm going to tell you the story. Anyway, so then Patricia came up with the armpit thing, but she felt that her character was very kind of like feminist and all that, which she comes across as she had, not that this correlates, but she had a lot of hair under her armpit. And then I did one take like that, and it just didn't seem right. So then she went...
How come? Yeah.
No, I had like wet wipes. And then she went and shaved, and then we did what you see on film. It was a process.
So I also read something really interesting that you were on a press tour for Sicario, and somebody asked you about your character's background, and that Paul Verhoeven, who you did The Hollow Man with, said that told you something that you agreed with about that you never really learn anything about your character until you're doing a press tour for the movie. Because it's the kind of questions people like I.
No, I know it's true because it's true. I don't know where you got this shit, man, but it's good. Kudos.
Thank you.
Kudos. Yeah, he got mad because Elizabeth Shue was like, "Why am I doing this?" And I was like, "Yeah, why is she doing this?" You know, and all this kind of. But a lot of, you have an intention, and then you do the deal, and then you forget about the intention. You do something else. The actress does something, or the actor does something. So you kind of like, the whole point is to listen and be malleable in the moment. You hope to be as relaxed as possible. And to just be the guy, and hopefully you've done enough research and rehearsal to understand who the guy is, and then you can just kind of pop into it. Like I remember Elizabeth Banks used to make fun of me because before every scene of W, I'd walk around and I'd go, America, 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 and she would go, America, 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 America. But a lot of times, it's true. You end up on a press tour, and they're like, "Well, what was that moment, in Milk, when you were drunk and you were looking at Sean?" And I said, I've never told anybody this, by the way. The truth is, I misread the script, and I thought he was drunk, and he wasn't.
Oh, really?
So everybody looked at me on set, and they were like, Brolin's a genius. And the truth is, I totally misread this.
So
good story afterwards, though.
2007, Grindhouse, where did you work much with Tarantino there, or just Robert Rodriguez?
Tarantino was there, and he was, a little bit, but mostly Robert.
So, Grindhouse, American Gangster, In the Valley of Elah, Paul Haggis directed that. No Country for Old Men, W, and then Milk. That is a run. And it's not like it ended there, but that was just to come out of that period that you call the black hole. I mean, it wasn't just No Country for Old Men. You were making movies with really significant directors and these really interesting, challenging roles. Is that a thing that you're aware of at the time? Did they feed on each other? Or that's what I meant by that first question about, like, somebody figure out who you were and what you were capable of, or is it just luck?
I think luck has something to do with it, but I also think it was springboarded by two guys who they truly beat to their own drum, right. And they couldn't find Llewellyn. And there was every actor, in quote-unquote Hollywood wanted to play Llewellyn, every single actor. And said, I'll do it for nothing, but they go, yeah, but he's not right. So I know that they were in a really bad mood for a long time. And I couldn't get in the room because I had done an audition tape from Grindhouse that Robert Rodriguez shot and Quentin Tarantino directed. And was done with a $1 million Genesis camera.
So you shot an audition for No Country with Quentin Tarantino?
Yeah, because I couldn't get in the room, so I was there and I shot this audition. They saw it, and their words verbatim was, "Who lit it?"
Really?
Yeah. So obviously they weren't too impressed by what I was doing. So they said, "That's not him. That's not him." And my agent, thank God, my wonderful agent Michael Cooper. Got me in the room literally as they were making it. Was their last audition, and I was called at 10 o'clock the night before in Santa Barbara as I was at my son's thing at his school, and they said, learn 6 scenes and be here at 9:30 the next morning. And I stopped in Boot Barn because I didn't have my hat from Paso.
I don't know what that sentence means, but they do.
Yeah. So I got a straw hat from Boot Barn, and I took it to the parking lot for a few kicks, and looked pretty authentic when I walked in.
And then do the other movies feed off that?
I think there were a lot of filmmakers who were really confused about why I was hired, and I think, well, why him? Why him? He had been around for a while, or I had been around for a while. And then I was very lucky because it was important for me to choose movies that, and not that it's a structure, that's something that I created, a scaffolding of sorts, but it was, I just wanted to do movies that, were good. And I liked doing, I'd done a lot of bad movies. So I wanted to not do bad movies. And I wanted to work with good directors. And so I was offered movies for a lot of money that would have been really nice. And I could have bought another ranch. But I said no. And nobody understood why. They were like, this is the way it goes. You get the good part, everybody notices you, you get the Moonlight, or you get the Whiplash, or whatever it is, and then you go on and you make, Avatar or something, and I just didn't see it that way, And honestly, and I'm not just saying this, but I think that growing up where I grew up gave me enough of a base to not play into, and also my dad being in the business, gave me enough foundation to not get sucked into that. I don't think it would have been a bad thing. It just would have been a different trajectory. I chose a different one.
It's hard not to get sucked in, though, isn't it?
It is.
So I find it, given your resistance to getting sucked in and your sort of determination to sort of make your own decisions, even if they're unconventional, that not surprisingly then that John Cassavetes is one of your favorite filmmakers.
Oh, I know, of all time. I mean, yeah. Yeah, he's just somebody, you know, if you look at Woman Under the Influence, which I've seen so many times, it's just, Jenna Rollins is, you know, truly a genius. I mean, there's like some people have that thing, and there's not very many out there that she just can't, there's not ever a false note, you know? And it just, what he did, I mean, some of it was ridiculous, but he just went out there, he didn't care how much money he had, it didn't matter. He was all about making films. He was all about that thing that I was talking about earlier. So yeah, I always aspired to, no matter what I did, whether I wrote or directed or acted or that was the inspiration. You know?
Of those guys you worked with in that run of Tarantino and Rodriguez and Ridley Scott and Paul Haggis and the Coen brothers and Gus Van Sant on Milk and Oliver Stone, any of them like have little bits and pieces of what you imagine Cassavetes said?
I think all of them do. I mean, all of them are punk rock filmmakers. You know, they just don't mess around. They do what they do. I mean, they're iconoclastic in the way that they beat to their own drum, and I love people who do that. I just have an addiction to people who do that. I like being around them, and I'd heard horror stories about Oliver and about, you know, other filmmakers, and I never experienced that. Maybe they're afraid of me. Maybe I play too severe parts. I don't know. But you know, I remember Oliver came up to me, and I had heard something from Sean Penn. You know, it was like, oh man, that guy can be awful. You know? And Oliver came up to me one day. I was doing one of the W speeches, and he came up to me and he goes, you know, he's always squinting, and he goes, hey man, do you feel well today? Are you okay? You have like the flu or something? And I go, don't do that, man. I know what you're doing. You're doing that thing that you do. Don't do that. And he was like, oh my God, you're so tough. I can't do it. I walked around, and he never did it again, and I was stoked. So whatever anxiety I've turned around into like looking somebody in the eye works, because I'm honestly afraid, so it works.
You mentioned punk rock, so you know, I first, because I didn't, other than thinking that you're a terrific actor, I didn't know that much about you, and I assumed because of your dad that you grew up, you had a Hollywood life. I'm interested in people who grew up and managed that Hollywood life, but you didn't in any way have that life.
I don't think so, right, Pop? Not really.
No, I was talking to your dad out front, and he what's he talking about? Given the things he could talk about, and he's talking about the lumber business.
Yeah, he has had. In Santa Margarita, Oak Country Ranch and Lumber that he's had for 40 years. That's where he made all his money.
Right. Well, you know, man, when I meet James Brolin, I didn't think that I was going to be talking about lumber. It just wasn't how I envisioned that conversation going. But punk rock and skateboarding. I mean, you could have gone the wrong direction.
Oh, I did, bro.
Yeah,
I did. I went a lot of wrong directions. No, but yeah, I left Paso. That was my problem. We left Paso and we went to Santa Barbara, and I went to Santa Barbara High, and I skateboarded and I did all that kind of stuff, and you know. Went to jail a couple of times. It's all good. But yeah, I went through whatever I went through. But no, it's not, you know, it's funny. There's this whole perception of Hollywood. Sean Penn grew up in Hollywood, you know, or Robert Downey or whatever. You know, it's a different thing because, you know, California, or especially Southern California, is kind of wrought with that whole like movie industry. And I don't know if it affects really the way you grow up or people's perception of, so did you do scenes in your house? And you know what I mean? Like, was Jeff Bridges at your house? How about Joe Walsh? You know?
Wait, was Joe Walsh at your house?
Just a bunch of, he was once, but we had, like up in Paso, we had a lot of country western singers, you know, at our place, which was cool. I mean, those were the famous people for me. So, and there was something about those guys that, again, all grounded and all down to earth, even though they had their big sunglasses and their sparkly suits or whatever they had. They were all pretty cool. So,
who was there? What kind of?
I don't know who was there, man. It was Gatlin Brothers. Who else? Mac Davis, Glenn Campbell. That guy was out of control. Who else? He fell in the lake one day. Of course he did. They did a documentary on that. Yeah.
I don't have that on here. Tell me about when Glenn Campbell fell in the lake.
Oh, yeah. We had 65 horses. Yeah, this is one of those sob stories. We had 65 horses. I wasn't 6 when I did it, but I drove the truck. I was? All right. He was a good dad. He was. He was all right. don't attack him on the way out. But I fed 65 horses every morning at 5:30, in a truck that I had a couple of telephone books so I could see over the steering wheel, and that's how I got so buff.
Did you, wait, were you driving?
I was, man.
I think I
was
missed
driving,
that part.
and then they
Jesus.
would leave, and we had a little, like an airstrip in the back, and I would drive up and down when they weren't home. It was awesome. We were way out in Adelaide. There's not a lot going on. Even if you're at Templeton, there's not a lot going on.
There are no rules.
Way out there were no rules.
Was there a moment, was there a teacher, was there a moment when you thought, wait a minute, your dad obviously did it, so you were exposed to it, you knew it was a thing that you could do. Was there a moment when you thought, this is for me, I like this?
Yeah, there was. There was that improvisational class in Santa Barbara High, and this lady was so unbelievable, and she just was excited. It's nice. People, you come up here, you get an award and all that, and it's a thing, but it's really nice when you're around people who are excited about it. I remember for a long time I was kind of ashamed to be an actor. And I thought, well, it's the perception. There's always a perception. It's like, oh, you think you're this because you're an actor, right? You're successful. Or you guys all hang out with each other and go, basically tell each other how great you are. That's what you do, right? All day. And then you dream about it all night. And the truth of the matter is like, we love storytelling. I know a few guys like that, but, we love storytelling. And when I go back and I see some of these films, I actually get, emotional about it, because it's like, that's what you keep going back to. And that's what's great about working with some of the filmmakers that I worked, is they still have that. They haven't lost that thing. Even Ridley Scott does a $100 million movie, American Gangster. He still always had that kind of base, childlike, like, what if we did this, Josh? I'm like, what the fuck is he asking me for? Yeah, I think that would be amazing. You should do it.
I was also struck by as you say, like when Lebowski comes out, people are like, fine, and now it means so much to so many people. And so, because you were talking about reaction to some of your movies, and because I loved Hail Caesar, and maybe it's because of my TCM connection, but I love almost anybody's interpretation of Hollywood during classic Hollywood, and we don't know 20 years from now that maybe that's the Lebowski. Maybe everybody's quoting lines from Hail Caesar.
You don't know. I mean, you don't know. And I love doing that movie, and there were so many good people in that movie. There's such great vignettes. And I'd heard, the one critique that I had heard is, we didn't know what was going on. I was like, it's a day in the life of, what do you mean, what was going on? What was right in front of you, man. But I don't know. I thought it was a fun thing. And, it's funny. Once you get to that place where you're carrying movies or something, you start to go, is it something that I did? And then you also get to a place where you go, it doesn't matter. It's timing, Big Lebowski, No Country. We didn't think, I remember when we were doing No Country, and Ethan kind of shuffled by me in the middle of nowhere, waiting to do a take. And he mumbled, and he goes, nobody's going to see this movie. And then he walked away, and I was like, dude, you can't say that in the middle of the film. Like, I still have to work, man. But and then look at what happened. It just that was a movie, and I won't be too long-winded about this, but that was a movie that the studio that was in charge of the domestic release of that movie had given up on.
Really?
And they focused on There Will Be Blood and Into the Wild. And there was somebody else who said, you know what, we like that movie and we'll pick it up. And then it ended up winning Best Picture and 4 Academy Awards. So who knows? You never know.
My opinion doesn't matter, but because I'm on TV, people think it does, and that's true.
Mine too.
And so the BBC put a list together asking 50 or 100 people to name their top movies of this century. And I put it on this list, and I went back and watched a few more, and I saw it, first time I'd seen it in probably 5 or 6 years, and I was like, well, that's one. Like, it's not gonna get better than that. And it's still, as you guys are about to see tonight, it holds up.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a good film. I'm really, really proud of that film.
We got to wrap up basically. But so George Jones coming up?
Yeah, Jeff and I were just talking about it because Jeff did Crazy Heart and he did it with T-Bone Burnett. And we're doing this with T-Bone Burnett because he's become a friend and he's an amazing guy. And Jessica Chastain is playing Tammy, and we have as of now Roger Deakins, who was the DP for No Country, or No Old Men for No. What is it called?
It's called No Country for Old Men. Yeah.
So the thing with I'm producing the movie, and then I realize it's just a different thing. So financing and this and that, and we're a go for May, but are we really a go for May? So it may push, but yes, that's where Kaopectate.
Does producing it, does being involved in those Hollywood decisions, I mean, sure you must like the power of it. It's fun. You're making the decisions, but does that take away a little of the artistic joy?
That's one of those things. You like the power of it, not necessarily. I mean, it's you're there to make decisions, and you feel like a fraud because you're an actor and you've always been an actor. So now you're producing, and you get producer look going. So what if, doing all that stuff, and then you have people that say, look, we'll give you $30 million, and then the next, a week later they say, you know what, we're a little sketched out by this, we'll give you 15 if you can find the other, it's all that stuff. It's all the stuff about storytelling we don't talk about for a reason.
And forgive me for the personal nature of this question. Have you been in therapy?
I have, so much. I spent all my money acting in therapy.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'd like you to come with me now after this interview.
Well, I prefaced the question with that because, like, I feel like a fraud most of the time, and I don't mean that to get a laugh and it didn't. Nailed it. So
awesome.
But then you think, well, it's not healthy to feel like a fraud. I mean, some degree of humility is probably good.
Yeah.
Right. But I end up talking about that a lot. Like, is it? Why would any of these people listen to me? And even after all your success, is there some struggle with that? You still think about it? You've brought it up twice tonight.
I brought it up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, of course, because I'm on a stage and then, you guys are in the dark and I'm in a light. What is that? It's like a metaphor. You know what I mean? It's all so dumb. I mean, we know that. But that's okay because as long as the joke is on us, it's all good. And it is something to appreciate. It's not to talk down about it. It's just to see it for what it is. We have a moment of appreciation. Like when I look at Jeff, I see these kind of lights on Jeff all the time, even though they're not on him. And that's okay. I'm okay with that.
I was 2 seats from him. I was nervous. We were just sitting. It's dark. Yeah.
And he's probably thinking I got gas or I got,
Totally,
whatever.
Yeah. He's like, why does this guy keep looking at me?
Exactly. Exactly. Who's the creepy guy 1 seat over?
The creepy guy with the
Why
glasses.
Why didn't Josh sit next to me?
We don't have to worry about it. I'm sure he left.
It's true. It's true. I thought when he got up the first time and then he said, well, let's watch this. I thought that was it. I was like, that's it?
Dude, he's on the 920 back to LA.
Sure. Hitchhiking for a train as the train goes whoosh.
Josh, thank you very much.
Thank you,
this
man.
was great. Thanks.
Thank you
Appreciate
so much.
it. Josh Brolin, everybody. Not a fraud.